Hi, welcome to Manas Shil YouTube channel. Before we start, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Let's start the video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I'll link it in the description box, or you can click here. Tensura Volume 19. Chapter 2, The Beginning of the Great War. Milim's Territory Invasion. Milim and her group was aware of the horizon beyond. Oh, that's bad. Carrion was the first to mutter, as everyone's faces paled in silence. The earth and sky were filled with swarms of insects. Their ferocity was immeasurable, and the threat was unimaginable. Those are 8 of the insect lord Zelanis's 12 armies. It's terrible. Even Zelanis's trusted 12 insect generals are here. Carrion was answered by the recuperating bear. Thanks to the care of Milim and the others, she was now fully recovered. Abera was determined to get revenge on Michael, who had destroyed her beloved subordinates. Even she was at a loss for words in the face of the abominable reality of those horrible insects. Or perhaps she simply hated insects. Otherwise, she would not have asked Zelario to come forward to take charge of the more dangerous world-destroying dragon. Regardless of such a backstory, now was not the time to be escaping reality. Milim spoke up. Hey, Free. Is it okay if I blow them up with Drago Nova? Hearing this, Free pondered. Well, it wasn't a bad idea. Abera was looking at Milim expectantly, and it seemed like a good idea too loud. If Free had been uneasy with insects, she would have agreed to the idea without a thought. However, Free decided to wait. She had no particular reason to oppose the idea, but she had a bad feeling about it. I suppose it is tactically possible to make a maximum attack on the first move. But I think it is also a good idea to expose your opponent's capabilities while they are still unknown. Free rejected Milim's idea, saying that it was too uncertain. With so many enemies, it would be tempting to have Milim wipe them out. However, she decided that the insectors should not be underestimated. The reason was that she knew Zijin. Free had fought Insect Queen Apido, but she had also observed Carrion and Zijin's fight. Apido, whom she had just barely defeated, was a fearsome Majin, but to her, Zijin was like something from a whole other dimension. This time, the enemy was the same species as Zijin. Honestly, maybe I'm just overly concerned, but I don't think we should underestimate our enemy. No one laughed at Free for being soft when she said this. On the contrary, Carrion agreed with her. No, I agree with Free. That kind of intuition is not to be taken lightly, and I myself feel that we should be cautious about what we do. I don't think Milim has anything to worry about, but let's go for it. And Midli was the same. Well, the problem is that there are so many of them, but their individual strengths are closer to B rank. If we destroy the A-ranked insects that appear to be the commanders, the rest will just be a ragtag bunch. Since the commander's strengths are distinct, it won't be difficult to find the targets. It might be easier than we think. And so, he was saying something rash, based on his own brainless standards. That is not a strategy, that's what Free thought, but then she remembered that Midli's subordinates were used to such recklessness, and swallowed her words. Well then, we'll take care of the ones flying in the sky, and leave the ground-crawling insectors to Midli Dono. Frey wrapped up the conversation, as if she didn't care about anything else. We can't just leave it to Midli alone. I'll have my warriors take care of the commander-level enemies as well. The headless limbs will make a good training ground for the new army. Yes, that would be very helpful. After all, it's not exactly right for a priest to be on the front lines. Carrion spoke as if he had no choice, and Midli agreed with a wry smile. Seeing such an exchange, Abera thought to herself. It wasn't just a little off, it was fundamentally wrong. But Abera wisely did not say what she thought, but only said, I will take care of Milim Sama's escort. And finally, Milim declared with a laugh. Wahahaha. As my 4 heavenly kings, I expect you all to do your best. In a happy manner as always. And again, the conversation became more relaxed, as if things were back to normal. Whoa, are you seriously saying the 4 heavenly kings? Milim, you are influenced too much by Remure. Why don't you use a more normal title instead of the 4 heavenly kings? No. I like the 4 heavenly kings. I've always thought it was unfair that Remure was the only one with 4 heavenly kings. Well, I'm fine with it. I am as well. Milim Sama can do as she wants, and I will follow her wishes. As for me, I actually like it. I'm glad it was accepted. What? Well then, I won't be the bad guy who objects. That's fine, then. In the end, Free finally broke from the line of agreements. In the face of the enemies from the other world, Milim's forces also deployed and waited. The total number of them had swelled to the largest in the octagram, having combined 3 of the old demon lords. Carrion and Free had evolved into the Million class, and a reorganization was underway. Carrion was appointed the general of the general's army, and was given command of the entire army. Free, as chief of the guard, oversaw Milim's personal escort. Milim, as high priest, was in charge of logistical support, leading the warrior priests. Carrera, who has recently joined the group, became the military advisor, and was in charge of strategy, planning. These 4 were the 4 heavenly kings of Milim. The first group to be introduced was the main unit led by Carrion, the Flying Beast Knights. The leader was Sophia, and her second in command was Phobio. The former Beastmaster's warrior alliance, 1,000 members strong, was leading the remnants of Clayman's army, and the warriors of the Beast Kingdom. The number of warriors had multiplied by 100, creating an army of 100,000. Add to this Carrion's command, and it made for a fearless army. Next to be introduced was Milim's guards, a super elite unit directly led by Free. Lucia and Claire acted as adjutants, providing support to Free, the commander. The Knights of the Skies soared, while riding the flying magic beasts, griffins, that were Free's tiger cubs. They numbered a little over 3,000. The team was led by Free's close aides, the heavenly flying group, Tensura, with each unit consisting of 10 to 30 riders. Although the griffins were rank 1 magic beasts, their strength had been raised to rank by being trained by Carrion. With the elite warriors of the Beast Kingdom, and the Sky Queen elite guards from all over the world riding on them, their overall strength exceeded A rank. In addition, the heavenly flying group, Tensura, members were all affected by Free's awakening, and their individual strengths were equivalent to the high A ranks. There were some who were comparable to special A rank, and they were a considerable force to be reckoned with. In this world, it was the largest army consisting of only those above A rank. Although they were only a little over 3,000 in numbers, they were fierce warriors who could easily fight in the air with high-speed maneuvers, as one. Finally, the last group to be introduced were the logistical support troops that had been gathered in a hurry. Although Milim was the representative, they were actually commanded by Hermes. There were stray Magians, human mercenaries, and Clayman's former subordinates. It was a mixed unit, consisting of a variety of people, but they had been entrusted to Milim to assist in the battle. Most of them had been involved in construction work until then, and their individual strengths ranged from D rank to B rank at best. Their temperament was not suited for fighting, and their duties were to carry supplies, procure food, and assist the priests as medics. However, they were numerous and numbered about 100,000. This was the entirety of Milim's force, which totaled over 200,000. It was a formation in which the combat troops were in the front, protecting the support troops. In addition to this, there were reinforcements from Tempest. Most conspicuous was the army led by Geld. They had been summoned for the construction of Milim's castle city, but they had gone straight into the defensive battle. Although not all of them had been sent to support other divisions, the yellow numbers and the orange numbers totaled to 35,000 people. There were 4 specialized in defense, but the yellow numbers were particularly impressive. With Geld's evolution, the fighting ability of the high orcs under his command had also greatly increased, and the number of members has risen to 10,000. Some of them had even reached rank A, making them a fearsome army on average. The orange numbers had also gained combat experience, and were now an army of warriors. Their average rank was B, and they were as strong as any knightly order. In addition, when combined with Geld's authority, they would serve as a shield to protect their allies with an ironclad defense. This time, they would not go to the front lines, but would protect the rear. And let us not forget the Hiyu led by Gabel. There were only 100 of them, but all of them were special A rank, which was a ridiculous force. They were planning to participate in this battle in a flexible manner, going as wild as they wished. Lastly, there was Carrera and Esprit. Even though there were only 2 of them, they were still considered a formidable force. With these reinforcements, they were going to fight against the army of Insect Lord Zelanis, but it was still going to be a tough battle. After all, the enemy numbered more than 3 million, more than 10 times their own numbers. The wriggling insects were coming them like a gush of water. And so, the dawn of war was about to begin. First up was Carrera. If Milim won't do it, then I guess it's my turn. And with that said, she happily stepped forward. Well, I really wanted to show them what I could do, but Free didn't want me to. It can't be helped, so I'll let Carrera have this one. Milim didn't stop either. Before they had realized it, the 2 had become best friends. The damage to those around them had not doubled, rather it had become immeasurable due to the synergistic effect, but that was irrelevant to the 2 of them. As long as they were enjoying themselves, that's all they cared about, and they only increased each other's power to do so. That's right, power. Power was strength. And strength was destructive force. Damn insects, I'll give you annihilation. The ultimate and most powerful, Abyss Annihilation. Carrera was a master at unleashing the most powerful magic from the very first move. With this, more than 2 million insects were extinguished. The gap of more than 10 times was now reduced to 4 times. Seeing this, the faces of the soldiers who had been lamenting the hopeless difference in strength were filled with hope. At first glance, Carrera's action may have seemed foolhardy, but it was optimal in terms of boosting morale. By reducing the enemy's numbers before they could inflict casualties, Carrera had kept her forces strong and increased their will to fight. With this, it seemed that the battle would suddenly turn in their favor. That's what they thought, but Free's bad premonition came true. It can't be. That one's channeling my magic to the other world. Carrera saw his magic. I can't believe it, but it's true. This is why I hate insectors. Some of them can nullify magic. Truly, they are our natural enemies. It was exactly as Esprit said. Carrera's magic had been redirected by a single insector. A feminine insector with beautiful long, slender, iridescent wings. Her name was Peleid, and she was one of the 12 insect generals who had absolute superiority over magic. Well now, this is not the time to be impressed. They're almost here. Geld-san, please defend the area above with all of your might. Understood. Carrera's smile faded as she instructed Geld. He had his doubts, but Geld obeyed without question. As that exchange was going on, Esprit was moving quickly in the background. She sensed the situation with her unique skill discerner and deployed her own defense magic to reinforce the defense barrier that Geld had put up. What? Free was wondering, and that's when it opened. There was a strange distortion in the sky. Just as I thought. That's Carrera's Sama for you. She was able to decipher that complicated magic right in one shot. Naturally, or rather, it's something basic. But more importantly, can we withstand it? Then I'll help. If this castle is destroyed, Free will be furious. As soon as she said that, Milim also held out her hand to the sky. Then, Geld's barrier, Esprit's defensive magic, and Milim's protective curtain were activated, simultaneously. Immediately after that, a wave of destruction poured down from the rift in the heavens. It was, as expected, Carrera's very same abyss annihilation. Wait, could this be? Oh, come on, you mean that? Free used her brain to guess what had happened. And Carrion, with his instincts, also sensed what was going on. One step behind, Milim muttered. I see, so Carrera Dono's magic was channeled into the other world, and its exit was reconnected above our heads. What an absurd thing to do. That was the correct answer. Gabble was the only one who couldn't see what was going on, but that couldn't be helped. It was as if Carrera, who excelled in magic, was having her most powerful magic spell being thrown back at her. That was difficult to believe, even if it was explained, so it would be unreasonable for one to imagine it. In the first place, it was hard to believe that such imitation was even possible. In any case, for now, they had no choice but to let Geld and the others do their best, and they all prepared for the impact with bated breath. And for a few moments, there was a violent flickering of light and an impact that could turn the world upside down. It gradually converged and eventually subsided. After the tremors had died down, Carrera finally spoke up. I can't believe someone would do something like this. If this had been Milim's magic, I'm not sure what would have happened. Carrera had finally calmed down, having somehow managed to erase the abyss annihilation she had unleashed. She then made a casual remark, but the others paled when they heard it. This time, the power had been reduced to less than 30%, so they were able to endure somehow. Even so, the terrain around the castle was badly damaged, and the streets and other parts of the city were no longer visible. Reconstructing this area would be a headache, but fortunately, no human casualties were reported. But what if this had been Dragonova? Wahahaha. My magic is not so easy to control. It's possible, but I think that only some of its power would be returned. Even it is only some of it, we might not be able to prevent. What is it called? That magic is based on an unknown theory. It's impossible to rewrite the laws, and I'm not sure if we'll be able to defend ourselves. Carrera replied honestly. Carrera was good at magic, but Milim's magic was on another level. To be honest, the two had always competed in terms of power, so she knew better than anyone else how dangerous it was. That being the case, Gabble raised a question. If so, then wouldn't the enemy have been able to throw back Milim Sama's magic? That was a very good point. Gabble was surprisingly smart, and had a great sensitivity in this aspect. It was Milim who replied. No, it was returned. That person has mastered spatial domination to great effect. It seems that she specializes in computing power, but I'm sure that she can change the flow of any directional magic, regardless of its nature. Carrera agreed. I agree with you. I hate to admit it, but I think the bigger and more complex the magic, the easier it will be for her to manipulate. Even if this were a base-triggered nuclear flame, she'd be able to anticipate the point of activation and cut off that space to nullify it. If it was a spell that didn't have a time lag, she wouldn't have time to pass it off, but that wouldn't be enough to inflict a fatal blow. Carrera felt as if she had been deprived of the demon's greatest asset, which was to read and fight with magic. At any rate, it was annoying to have someone on the enemy side who was good at magic. I apologize. If I had known more about the insectors, I could have prevented such a dangerous thing. A bear about her had an apology, but there was no one who blamed her. Well, I guess that's how it is. That's right. In fact, we were able to reduce the number of enemies with 0 damage, so if you only look at the results, it was a great success. True, since we're safe, there is no point in complaining, so for now, let us think about our next move. Milim and Free were right. It was true that Carrera's blow had greatly reduced the enemy's strength, and the morale of the uninformed soldiers was high. It would be more meaningful to strike the enemy with this momentum, rather than to seek blame. From now on, magic is prohibited. No objection. Carrera responded to Free's decision. In that case, let's go head-to-head in a straightforward manner. Sounds like fun. I don't see the enemy king, but he has about 8 generals. We have exactly the same number of executives as they do, so we should have a quota of 1 general each. When Carrion expressed his opinion as a member of the general's army, Milim started saying something stupid. Carrera was in on it. Hahaha, sounds interesting. Then I'll take the one who's slouching over there. The one in front of her was Zess, who was sitting on the back of a flying insector. As the head of insect generals, his presence was tremendous. That's not fair. Then No, Milim. You're the leader, so you have to stand your ground. That's right. If we're in trouble, we'll need you to come in and help us. Okay, I understand. Free, who had stopped Milim from joining the fight, looked around the battlefield and declared. That is why I will deal with that flying insect. Before her gaze was a flying gold insect. It was torn. As Carrera and Free took the lead, the rest of the group started to panic. In that case, I'll. Carrion, Gabble, and Milim all opened their mouths at the same time and their eyes crossed. Well, first come, first serve, no complaints, right? That's fine. It's been a while since I've had a real fight. The same is true for me. In that case, let's play this game like normal. There was no time to interrupt. The 3 of them ran out of the castle, as if to restrain each other. As if getting caught up in this, the army also began to move. Thus, the curtain of the Great War was dropped. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it.